Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you sounds less like reality TV drama and more like a scene ripped straight out of a Netflix thriller gone wrong. Imagine this: flashing ambulance lights, frantic nurses pushing stretchers, and the sound of someone whispering the words no fan ever wants to hear. She might not make it. Yeah, you heard that right. Is Yandy Smith. Yes, that Yandy, the so-called queen of love and hip-hop, really fighting for her last breath while her husband Mendeecees collapses outside the ICU in a puddle of tears? Or is this just another publicity stunt gone nuclear? Ask yourself, why now? Why at midnight? Why when cameras just happen to be lurking nearby, catching every shaky step, every Tay Street cry, every dramatic fall to the cold hospital floor? Coincidence? Please. We've seen enough of this circus to know when the clowns are setting up the tent. But here's where it gets darker. Whispers say the doctors aren't just battling to save Yandy's life. They're battling a storm of secrets, lies, and betrayal that might have caused this breakdown in the first place. Could this be karma cashing in? Could this be the night the empire finally crumbles? Stay right here, because what I uncovered will blow the lid off the carefully polished fairy tale these two tried to sell you. So here's where the circus really begins. Yandy Smith, the self-proclaimed boss, activist, entrepreneur, perfect wife, and social media darling, has suddenly found herself strapped to a hospital bed, fighting for her life. And at her side, none other than her husband, Mendeecees Harris, the man whose own past could fill a 1,000-page rap sheet of scandals. Seriously, if bad decisions were an Olympic sport, this man would have been bringing home gold medals since 2005. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's roll the tape back, shall we? Because this tragedy didn't just drop out of the sky like an R&B single nobody asked for. No, this meltdown, this so-called midnight medical emergency, is years in the making. First, Yandy, the queen bee of love and hip-hop, New York. She built her empire on being the voice of reason, the strong woman who could juggle business, babies, and a man with more legal issues than a crooked senator. Fans ate it up. She was a poster child of resilience until the cracks started showing. You know what I'm talking about. The lawsuits, the whispers about shady business deals, the constant accusations that her activism was more about clout than community. Oh, and let's not forget the endless Instagram lives where she looked less like a mogul and more like someone auditioning for the role of Hot Mess Express. And then, enter Mendeecees, Mr. Harris himself. Ladies and gentlemen, if we stacked up all the second chances this man has gotten, we could build a ladder to the moon. This is a guy who went from prison bars to reality TV fame, only to somehow make redemption look like a marketing gimmick. Drugs, fraud, shady dealings, you name it, his name has been tied to it. And yet, he still managed to sell the public on the family man narrative. Cute family photos, motivational speeches, pretend tears on VH1. Oh, how sweet. But behind the scenes, insiders have been whispering for years that the whole thing is one giant PR stunt, a soap opera package as reality. So when Yandy suddenly collapses and doctors rush her into ICU at midnight, people aren't just worried. They're suspicious. Because let's keep it real. How many times have we seen this playbook before? Step 1. A public medical crisis. Step 2. The husband collapsing dramatically in the hallway. Step 3. Social media goes into meltdown, hashtags start trending, and suddenly everyone forgets about the fraud cases, the money trails, the unanswered questions. Convenient, right? Now, let me hit you with the first bombshell. According to one anonymous nurse who allegedly witnessed the chaos firsthand, Yandy's health crisis didn't come out of nowhere. Nope. This insider claims that Yandy had been under intense stress for weeks leading up to this breakdown, and that stress wasn't about her career or activism. It was about money, or, more specifically, money that went missing. Yes, you heard me right. Missing money. Funds from a so-called community empowerment project that was supposed to go to youth programs but somehow got rerouted to, wait for it, luxury vacations, jewelry, and designer handbags. And who do you think is at the center of this misplaced cash? That's right, our beloved power couple, Yandy and Mendeecees. Imagine that. One minute you're posing on Instagram in matching outfits, sipping champagne on a yacht in Miami. The next minute, the IRS is breathing down your neck asking where the youth center budget went. Stressful? No. Stressful enough, apparently, to send Yandy spiraling straight into a hospital bed. But here's the kicker. While fans were flooding Twitter with #PrayForYandy hashtags, a very different narrative was brewing on the darker corners of the internet. Screenshots, DMs, leaked audio clips, allegedly from people close to the couple. And the message was clear. This wasn't just a health crisis. This was an image crisis. Take, for example, a supposed leaked voice memo from someone claiming to be a family friend. In it, a woman's voice could be heard saying, she knew this was coming. They all knew. The stress wasn't about her body. It was about the walls closing in. And they thought maybe, just maybe, if she ended up in a hospital, people would stop asking questions. Now, is that voice memo real? Or is it just another piece of the internet rumor mill? Who knows? But when you stack it next to the conveniently timed hospital drama, it starts to feel less like a coincidence and more like a carefully crafted distraction. And let's not forget the theatrics of Mendeecees himself. Cameras caught him outside the ICU, collapsing to the floor, screaming, "Not my wife, not my queen," while security guards tried to pick him up. Sounds touching, right? Except, witnesses say there were at least 3 professional photographers on the scene. Who called them? Who let them inside? Because last time I checked, hospitals don't roll out the red carpet for TMZ. Unless, of course, someone wanted them there. But let's pause for a second, because here's where the hypocrisy really starts to shine. Yandy has built her brand on truth, on transparency, on being the one reality star who tells it like it is. Yet, the deeper we dig, the more the story smells like smoke and mirrors. Let me give you another example. Remember last year when Yandy launched her so-called Women Empowerment Fund? Supposedly a program to help women-owned businesses thrive. She raised hundreds of thousands in donations, had all the celebrities endorsing it, and made herself look like the Mother Teresa of the Bronx. But ask any of those women where the money went. Go on, ask them. Because the receipts, they don't add up. At all. And now, insiders are suggesting that this medical emergency might be the ultimate cover-up to stall questions about where those funds really went. Coincidence or strategy? You decide. And here's the wildest part. Fans aren't even buying it this time. Social media has turned into a battlefield. On one side, you have the loyalists. Pray for Yandy. Stay strong, queen. We're with you. On the other side, the skeptics. Funny how every time their name is in the mud, someone ends up in the hospital. Brutal, but not wrong. Because let's be honest, how many times have we seen celebrity couples pull this exact stunt? Kanye and Kim, Tristan and Khloe, even Tekashi 69 when he collapsed after being caught in another scandal. The script is always the same. Tragedy, tears, sympathy, distraction. And it always works until it doesn't. So here's a $1 million question. Is Yandy's midnight rush to the ICU really a life or death emergency, or is it the greatest performance of her career? Stay tuned, because the deeper we go, the uglier the story gets. And trust me, you haven't even heard the half of it. So let's pick up right where we left off. The question hanging in the air, was Yandy's dramatic collapse really a health emergency, or was it a smoke screen for something far darker? Well, buckle up, because the so-called leaks and inside reports are about to take this mess from hospital gossip to full-blown scandal. According to a document that mysteriously appeared on Reddit at 3 a.m. the morning after Yandy was rushed to the ER, there are serious questions about how she and Mendeecees have been handling their finances. The report, allegedly from a whistleblower in their own management team, claims that over $750,000 in charitable donations simply vanished. Let me repeat that. Gone. Poof. Like magic. And where did it go? Well, the whistleblower provided screenshots of luxury purchases, private jets, Gucci shopping sprees, and even a 6-figure deposit to secure a villa in Dubai for what insiders are calling a spiritual healing trip. Spiritual? Huh? I don't know about you, but last time I checked, real spiritual healing doesn't usually come with a $10,000 champagne bill. Now here's where it gets even spicier. Fans on Twitter started connecting dots nobody wanted to see. They noticed that around the same time Yandy was supposedly planning charity events, Mendeecees was mysteriously posting photos and designer fits that no ex-con motivational speaker's salary could possibly cover. Oh, and did I mention the suspiciously timed Instagram stories where Yandy herself was flashing new diamond jewelry, all while crying on live about how hard it is to balance everything as a black woman in America? Girl, please, balancing or laundering? But wait, because this rabbit hole keeps going. One anonymous assistant allegedly leaked voice notes that suggested Yandy was in full crisis mode weeks before this hospital stunt. In one recording, a woman sounding suspiciously like Yandy can be heard saying, "They are not going to let this slide. We need to do something big, or else we're done." Done with what? Done with the fame? Done with the money? Or done with dodging the feds? That's the million-dollar question. Meanwhile, the public reaction has been nothing short of savage. Social media is literally split down the middle. On TikTok, you got users making parody skits of Mendeecees collapsing in the hospital hallway, clutching his chest like he just auditioned for a Bet telenovela. On Twitter, hashtag like #hospital PR stunt and #scamDC started trending within hours. And the comments? Phew, brutal doesn't even begin to describe them. One viral tweet read, "Every time Yandy gets caught in a lie, she suddenly finds herself in a hospital gown. Girl, the only thing that's sick is your PR strategy." Another user chimed in, "Mendeecees crying outside ICU like he forgot we can literally Google his fraud cases." And yet, on the flip side, you still have diehard fans posting candle emojis, prayer hands, and writing paragraph about how haters need to stop dragging a woman when she's fighting for her life. But even some of those fans can't ignore the shady timing. Like one commenter wrote, "I love Yandy, but every time she's in trouble, something dramatic happens to shift the focus. It's hard to ignore the pattern." Patterns don't lie, people. Now, let's zoom in on this so-called ICU drama. Doctors were reportedly battling to stabilize Yandy, but here's the detail the media conveniently glossed over. She was released less than 24 hours later. Wait, what? If this was really the fight for her life that her team wanted us to believe, how did she walk out of the hospital in full glam, hair laid, lashes intact, smiling for paparazzi like she was leaving a fashion show instead of an ICU? Does that sound like a woman who just had a near-death experience? Or does it sound like someone milking the spotlight for sympathy before the real storm hits? And oh, the storm is coming. Because not long after her dramatic exit, reports started surfacing that government agencies were sniffing around their finances. Allegedly, the Department of Justice has opened a preliminary inquiry into the missing funds tied to Yandy's nonprofit. Insiders say subpoenas have already been issued, and the couple has been advised to keep a low profile. A low profile? Sweetheart, collapsing on the hospital floor while cameras roll is not exactly what I'd call low profile. Let's not forget, this isn't the first time they've been accused of financial funny business. Remember when Mendeecees was caught up in that whole drug trafficking case and owed millions in restitution? People thought Yandy was a loyal wife holding it all together. But according to leaked legal documents, she may have been a lot more involved than anyone realized. In fact, one former associate straight up claimed that Yandy helped move money around in ways that looked a whole lot like, say it with me, money laundering. And what about the so-called activism Yandy prides herself on? The protests, the jail visits, the community marches. Sure, it all looks noble on Instagram, but sources say a large chunk of those donations never actually reached the communities they were supposed to help. Instead, they allegedly got rerouted into administrative costs, which conveniently included luxury cars, beauty treatments, and first-class flights. Nothing says community service like a Birkin bag, right? So now the pieces are falling into place. Yandy collapses. Mendeecees collapses even harder, like he's auditioning for a daytime soap. Cameras capture it all. Social media blows up. And while everyone is distracted by the health scare, the couple quietly scrambles behind the scenes to cover their financial tracks. But here's where it gets even juicier. Several sources are whispering that Yandy's so-called collapse wasn't just about stress or finances. Some claim she was warned. Yes, warned that investigators were about to come knocking. And in a desperate bid to buy time, she pulled the oldest trick in the celebrity scandal book: play the victim. After all, Who's going to question a woman fresh out of the ICU? And yet, people are questioning it. The backlash is real. Sponsors are allegedly reconsidering partnerships. A big-name cosmetics brand quietly scrubbed a photo from their campaign page. Even VH1 producers are reportedly panicking, worried that the scandal could taint the entire love and hip-hop brand. When even reality TV execs think you're too messy, you know it's bad. But let's not kid ourselves. This story isn't just about Yandy fainting under stress. It's about a pattern of deception, distraction, and manipulation. It's about a couple who built an empire on relatability, only to weaponize sympathy when the empire started to crumble. And if you think this is the end of it, oh no. This is just Act 2 of the messiest reality show never aired. Because while fans argue online, investigators are digging deeper. And trust me, the skeletons in this closet are about to come crashing out. So here's the real question. How far are Yandy and Mendeecees willing to go to protect their empire? Because of collapsing in a hospital hallway is their version of damage control, I can only imagine what Act 3 looks like. And guess what? You don't have to imagine. Because I've got the inside scoop on the fallout, the investigations, and the shocking consequences that could change everything for the so-called power couple. Stay right where you are, because what's coming next might just make Yandy wish that ICU bed had been permanent. So here we are, Act 3, the part where the smoke clears, the cameras stop rolling, and the reality behind this hospital horror story finally starts to bleed through. Because while Yandy may have walked out of the ICU smiling like a beauty pageant winner, the fallout brewing behind the scenes is anything but pretty. Let's start with the obvious, the investigations. According to insiders, and by insiders, I mean those shadowy anonymous sources who mysteriously always seem to know everything, the Department of Justice isn't playing around. What started as a preliminary inquiry into Yandy's nonprofit funds has now escalated into a full-scale probe. And word on the street? Subpoenas have already been delivered to at least 3 of her business associates. That's not smoke, that's fire. Even juicier, a leaked email allegedly from a government official bluntly stated, "We are concerned that charitable donations were knowingly diverted for personal use." Ouch! If true, that's not just shady, that's criminal. We're talking fraud, wire fraud, and possibly even conspiracy charges. Imagine the headline, reality TV couple faces federal indictment over charity scam. Sounds like a Hulu documentary waiting to happen, doesn't it? But the legal storm isn't the only problem. Let's talk public image. Because no matter how many paparazzi photos Yandy stages outside hospitals, no matter how many tears Mendeecees squeezes out like a broken water faucet, the public isn't buying it anymore. The hashtags tell the story. #PrayForYandy got drowned out within 48 hours by #Mendeecees and #Yandygate. Twitter users are posting side-by-side photos of her ICU exit glam look versus her I'm so stressed Instagram lives, and let's just say the memes are vicious. One viral TikTok literally reenacted the hospital collapse scene using a mop, a wig, and a cardboard cutout of Mendeecees. It hit 2 million views in 24 hours. That's when you know you've crossed from tragic to comedy. And then, bam! Sponsors started running for cover. That cosmetic line that once proudly plastered Yandy's face all over their ads? Gone. A wellness tea brand that used her for influencer marketing? Deleted posts faster than you could say detox scam. Even VH1 is reportedly reviewing her role in upcoming love and hip-hop storylines. Translation: they're trying to figure out if it's worth keeping a scandal magnate who might soon be facing federal charges. But wait, because the personal fallout is just as messy. Rumors are flying that Mendeecees have been losing his cool behind closed doors. Multiple neighbors claim they've overheard screaming matches, with Yandy accusing him of bringing the feds back into our lives and Mendeecees clapping back that she was the one who wanted the money in the first place. Imagine the drama. 2 reality stars arguing about who's guiltier while the FBI probably has their phones tapped. Delicious. And fans? Oh, fans have turned full-blown detectives. Reddit threads are filled with self-proclaimed financial investigators tracing old Instagram posts, matching timestamps with suspicious purchases, and connecting dots like it's a Netflix true crime series. Some even claim to have found evidence that Yandy's so-called empowerment fund was funneling money into shell companies owned by, you guessed it, family members. Nothing says girl boss like a Ponzi scheme in designer heels. Now, let's talk about consequences. Because no matter how much spin they put on it, this scandal is snowballing out of their control. Legal experts, well, the kind of expert who go on YouTube panels and oversized headphones, are already speculating that if the DOJ really pursues charges, Yandy could be facing up to 10 years. Mendeecees? Add another 15, since his criminal record isn't exactly sparkling clean. Imagine the plot twist. Yandy behind bars, Mendeecees back in prison, and their kids being raised by Instagram aunties. Messi doesn't even cover it. And let's not forget the financial hit. Reports claim that sponsors pulling out could cost them upwards of $2 million in lost deals this year alone. Add the legal fees piling up, and suddenly, that designer lifestyle doesn't look so sustainable. No more private jets, no more Birkin bags, just Uber rides and legal consultations. Poetic justice. Anyone? But here's the real kicker, the public trust. Yandy built her entire persona on being real, on being the woman who could rise above drama while still showing heart. And now, that image is shattered. Fans feel betrayed. Donors feel scammed. Viewers feel played. It's the ultimate fall from grace. And still, somehow, they refuse to back down. Just days after leaving the hospital, Yandy was already back on Instagram, posting cryptic captions like, "God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers." Oh please, soldiers? This isn't a war, it's a subpoena. And then there's Mendeecees, posting teary-eyed selfies with captions like, "They can't break what God put together." So, the only thing breaking right now is your bank account. But maybe, just maybe, they believe their own hype. Maybe they really think the public will buy into the narrative of haters trying to tear down a strong black couple. And let's be real, that excuse will buy them sympathy from some corners. But sympathy doesn't erase bank statements. Sympathy doesn't make subpoenas disappear. Sympathy won't stop investigators who already smell blood. So where does this leave us? In the middle of one of the most bizarre celebrity scandals we've seen in years. A supposed near-death experience that looks more like a stage distraction. A reality TV couple who may be facing reality harder than they ever imagined. And a fan base split between pity and outrage, prayer emojis and popcorn gifs. And here's the part that should keep them up at night. This isn't going away. The memes will fade. The hashtags will die down. But the investigations? Those don't just vanish. The feds don't care how many followers you have. They don't care how many staged paparazzi photos you took outside an ICU. They care about numbers, receipts, and missing money. And if those whispers are true, Yandy and Mendeecees are about to learn the hard way that you can't collapse your way out of federal fraud. So next time you see a dramatic Instagram live of Yandy with tears glistening under ring light, or Mendeecees with his hand over his heart talking about loyalty, ask yourself, is this real? Or is this just the latest episode of the greatest unscripted soap opera VH1 never aired? Because one thing's for sure, their story isn't over. In fact, the real drama may just be beginning. And if what I'm hearing is true, the next headline won't be about Yandy's last breath. It'll be about her first court date. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The end of Act 3, but maybe just the beginning of the real nightmare for Yandy and Mendeecees. Think about it. A midnight hospital collapse. A hallway full of cameras. A husband crying like he's auditioning for a soap opera. And now, whispers of fraud, subpoenas, sponsors running for the hills, and fans turning from prayer warriors into meme creators overnight. The question is, what do you believe? Was Yandy really fighting for her life? Or was this the greatest PR stunt of 2025? Do you buy the tears rolling down Mendeecees' face? Or do you think he was crying more for his lost endorsement checks than for his wife's heartbeat? And here's the real kicker. What happens next? Will the feds actually drag the so-called power couple into court? Will VH1 cut them loose and replace them with a new messy duo ready to sell their souls for screen time? Or will Yandy somehow pull another rabbit out of her designer hat and convince the world she's still the queen of resilience, even as the empire crumbles around her? I want to hear from you. Drop your wildest theories in the comments right now. Do you think this was karma finally catching up, or just another episode in the never-ending soap opera that is love and hip-hop? And don't just scroll. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next explosive update. Because trust me, this story isn't done. The plot twists are coming, and when the court documents hit the internet, you know I'll be here breaking it down for you, piece by messy piece. Until then, stay tuned, stay suspicious, and never believe the glam shot outside the ICU.